What's up, League of Wildness? Wildman Dan here, and welcome to the Live Wild or Die podcast. In this episode, I wanted to talk about exploring our limits and expanding our imagination of the possible. And I just went on I guess it was a 3-day, 2-night backpacking trip with my 3 and 4-year-old daughter. And the 4-year-old, she hiked the entire 12 miles. And this was in the Rocky Mountains. We're like over 11,000 feet. It's a rocky, steep trail, and she crushed it. And to be honest, the 3-year-old, I think she hiked like maybe 2/3 of it. So props to her as well. But it just made me think about how we kind of place these pre-existing limitations based on kind of our own preconceptions, things of that nature, and how in our personal lives, we may kind of set up environments, relationships, etc., that also place limits on ourselves. So let me share a few more anecdotes here. And the idea for this episode as well is to keep it more of that quickie style. So again, I mentioned I took my 3 and 4-year-old daughter on a 12-mile backpack. We spent 2 nights out in the wild. And so the way we kind of broke it up was day 1 was about a 2-mile hike. Day 2 was maybe 3 or 4 miles. And then the last day was 7 miles. So that's a pretty big day for a 3 and 4-year-old. And again, 4-year-old hiked the entire thing. And a 3-year-old, she hiked most of it as well. This morning, literally right before I recorded this episode, I was out with a buddy climbing out here in Boulder, and we went to an area. He's climbing a route that's like way above my current ability level and really harder than anything I've ever come close to climbing. But just being on the rock, getting to experience and see what that next level looked like, it gave me that glimpse, and it made me kind of think, I think that's possible. It's going to take time. It's going to take work. It's going to take effort, but I do think it will be possible. But I think seeing it for yourself and kind of getting to peer into that window a little bit is so valuable. And I also want to mention, this is several years ago now. Gosh, it's like thinking back to, this is back in college, but when I was in college, I was a Division I college athlete, and I always tried to train with the strongest guys on my team. And ultimately, I started out my freshman year, I was one of the weakest. I was one of the weakest guys on the team. By the time I graduated and finished, I was one of the strongest. And that was just consistent, disciplined dedication to that long process. And so there's 2 kind of parallel concepts here that are kind of mutually exclusive, but I also think they relate as well. One is being around others that kind of push the boundaries of your own skill level. It expands your imagination of what is possible. And so I think that's important to recognize for yourself personally, but I'm a father, I have kids. I don't want to place limitations on what their imagination for what's possible or what other parents may say, like what's possible or not possible for kids of their age, whatever. So it's having that, it's a Misogi concept, right? The whole idea of Misogi is expand your imagination of the possible, push your limits. You can do that personally, but as a parent, I think it's important to not place pre-existing limitations on your kids. I hesitated there because I was going to say, certainly within reason, we're not trying to go out and get them injured or put them in any unnecessary danger or risk or anything like that. My point is simply that I think kids are a lot more capable than we maybe give them credit for. And I remember as a kid, I always wanted to kind of push the boundaries, and I always felt like I was held back, and I resented that. But then thinking about on the more personal level, looking back at my life and where I'm at now, like surrounding myself with people that they force me to up my game, and they also have their peer group that forces them to up their game. And I think about it, I was trying to think of what's like the analogy for this. And if you think about like a chain link, like a link of chains hanging down, the links, they cross over, they're interlinked, and there's that crossover point. It's like the chain kind of pulls everyone up, can also pull everyone down, but the chain pulls you up. And if you can keep working yourself up that chain, and it's not about like hierarchy or status or anything like that. It's about surrounding yourself with people that pull you up versus pull you down. And I've really made a conscious effort it's probably been like maybe 2-3 months to kind of put myself out there a lot more, be around people that, it's uncomfortable not being like the best in the group, but it pushes me so much. And I suspect that might be the same for you if you're watching this video. So if you find yourself maybe like plateauing, or maybe you feel like your peer group is kind of pulling you down, the internet's a beautiful thing in the sense of you can really find people with the same interests, values, beliefs, whatever it is that you want to work on or improve upon, athletic skills, strength, endurance. You can find those groups online, and it's been a valuable tool for me. So I kind of grew up at that age where the online connection thing was it had like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll think of something better, but there wasn't as much value maybe to relationships made online. But now I've made some really great friends that I've kind of initially met online. So again, that's an awesome resource for me. I've really leveraged that in like the climbing space, but I suspect in kind of any outdoor pursuit, fitness pursuit, active pursuit, there's forums, there's websites, there's communities for those that you could look at to kind of find your tribe. So again, in the spirit of keeping this a quickie episode, just kind of want to share these thoughts with you guys. That's what's been on my mind. Last month has just been awesome, getting out, kind of not necessarily a new group, but getting back in and meeting new folks and kind of trying to level up my game. So hope this is valuable to you guys. Much love. If you have comments or questions, drop them down below. I love those. It really helps me spark my thought process and give you guys content that's relevant. So much love. I'll see you guys out there.